Greetings everyone. In this video I will be discussing the topic of secrecy and the shadow, how this relates to our personal consciousness as well as to society in general. We all have some elements of secrecy in our lives. In terms of our consciousness, the shadow refers to that which remains hidden. If we think about light, light is everywhere. Light is, in a sense, how we would perceive the source of creation. And anything that wishes to remain hidden is, in a sense, staying in the shadow or trying to separate itself from that light so that it cannot be perceived. In our lives we have what we are conscious of, so that which is in the conscious mind, and then we have things that we're not conscious of that are in the subconscious mind. There's obviously a lot more in our subconscious mind than there is in our conscious mind, since our conscious mind is focused only on those things that seem relevant in the moment, whereas the subconscious is this vast repository of memories and programming. We wouldn't really be able to focus on all the contents of the subconscious in any particular moment, so it's necessary to have all of that not in our momentary awareness. However, we often have things that we're holding in the subconscious that we have in some way suppressed, things that we don't want to look at or face, things that we're hiding from ourselves or from others, or both. Therefore, we often accumulate a lot of shadow material in our consciousness, many things that are not only not in our present awareness, but things that we're actively blocking ourselves from perceiving or looking at. This, of course, happens in our collective consciousness, in our human society. There are things that people don't want to look at or face. There may be very dark or negative types of activities occurring that people find unpleasant and don't wish to look at or attempt to do anything about. People will just turn the other way and move past those things. As an example, we may live in a city or town where there's a lot of homelessness, and the leaders of that community don't want that homelessness to be visible, and as a result they may pass laws or ordinances that make it difficult for homeless people to conduct their activities, and make it likely that those people may be arrested, placed in custody somewhere, or perhaps they may even be bussed out of town, sent to some other city or community, so that they're no longer present for the people in that town to see or have to deal with. In our personal lives, we often do similar things. We try to hide, to shun the things that are unpleasant. We may seek to escape from feelings or emotions that are challenging to us. We may engage in some type of substance abuse to make ourselves feel better when we're not feeling well, or to numb our pain in some sense. Now, when I talk about secrecy, I'm talking about things that are being kept hidden. When we keep something hidden, we may be hiding it both from ourselves and from others, or only from ourselves or only from others. Secrecy is very much connected to the shadow side of consciousness. Since a secret is something that is not seen, something that is hidden, it naturally makes sense that it is in a way related to the shadow, to what some people could call the dark side. However, the shadow or dark side doesn't have to be looked at as bad or good. It just is an aspect of consciousness. Now, if we look at society, we'll see that secrets are often a part of everyday organizational processes. An example of that would be governments which have information or documents that are classified. In the United States, actually a majority of all government documents have a classification of secret or beyond that. Not only are things secret, but there are various levels of secrecy. There are some matters that are considered cosmic top secret, which refers to matters pertaining to extraterrestrial phenomena. So there are people in government who may be able to see some things that are top secret, but then things that are at even deeper levels of secrecy, even they may not be able to see or have access to. Secrecy is very much a part of organizations that consider themselves secret societies. The very nature of those organizations is to have information that is only accessible to some individuals and not accessible to other individuals. There may be different layers or levels of initiation where some people in that organization have access to information that other people in that organization do not have access to. So there are hierarchies to that secrecy. And since there's this concept that knowledge is power, if people have knowledge that other people don't have access to, then the people who have that knowledge are perceived in some way as more powerful. Whether they take steps to abuse that power or not is another matter, but just the fact that they have information or awareness that is not accessible to others gives them that power, that leverage over other people. Therefore, if we consider ourselves to all be children, to all be aspects of the Creator, to all ultimately be connected to that same source, and yet we're positioning ourselves as having access to information or knowledge and not allowing others to have access to that, we're kind of building up this shadow consciousness where we're trying to keep ourselves hidden in some way, separating ourselves from others and from that higher source. This is something that people may believe at certain times is valuable or useful. If you are living in a society that is in some way oppressive or persecutes people, you may need to hide things in order to keep yourself safe or protected. Your use of secrecy isn't necessarily negative or something that's meant to give you power over others or to harm anyone. It may be a protective mechanism. Let's think about different reasons why we would want to keep things secret. One reason would be that other people might wish to do harm to you if they knew the truth about something. Let's say you're seeking a particular job, and in the process of applying for that job, they ask you certain personal questions. It could be questions about your religion, your sexual orientation, your history of drug use, whatever those particular questions might be. It's implied there that if you answer the question in a certain way, you may be rejected for that job. And in that case, if you consider getting the job important, you may keep the truth secret. You may respond in a false manner to those questions in order to hide the truth so that you're not discriminated against. Whether that is a positive or negative thing to do, that's for you to decide for yourself based on your values, your priorities. In other situations, people keep secrets because they wish to protect another person. So they may wish to keep another person from being discriminated against or experiencing some harm or negative repercussion. So they're keeping that secret for the benefit of another person. Secrecy is also something that is used by those who do have plans that would be perceived as harmful to others. People who are plotting some type of crime are often engaged in secrecy to keep any information about what they're doing from being leaked and allowing anyone to interfere with their plans. On the global level of our society, we have people involved in particular plans for creating their idea of a global government. And from their point of view, they need to do some of those things in secret. They may need to speak to each other secretly or gather secretly, because if the general public knew what their plans were and how they were expecting to carry them out, most people would not be in agreement with those plans, and people would probably take action to block those agendas. In that case, they're using secrecy for what they believe is something perhaps beneficial for civilization, but which they recognize that other people would not see in that manner. Now, I mentioned that secrecy is something that's naturally compatible with the shadow aspect of consciousness. If you're very good at operating in secrecy, you're using that shadowy type consciousness, that ability. People that are not inclined toward keeping secrets, people who are very open and transparent, might actually have a hard time keeping a secret when it would be something that would be helpful for them to do, where they might need to do so for their safety or to protect someone else. Therefore, that is a skill that might be difficult for them, but which they might need to learn in certain circumstances. Since people who are more dark or shadow-oriented tend to be better at using secrecy, it often gives them an edge in carrying out their agendas. If they use that skill and they're in a sense in some type of competition with people who are not as adept at using that skill, they are more likely to come out successful in achieving their goal. Let's think about the metaphor per se, or the analogy of a pair of teams engaged in a sports competition, and in that competition there are certain rules that you play by, and everyone is expected to play that game according to those rules. If the rules allow for some type of cheating or deceitful activity, then the team that is used to playing in that manner would probably have an edge or advantage against another team that is used to always playing honestly, always not engaging in any type of deceitful behavior. Now, if you had two teams playing where the rules were actually restrictive and did not allow for any unfair or deceitful behavior, yet there was no one there to enforce those rules, then you would expect that the team that is inclined toward cheating or deception would engage in that behavior regardless of the rules. We see these types of patterns occurring in our society where people who are inclined toward dark side approaches toward cheating, deception, lying, and so on will apply those mechanisms, and as long as no one is really catching them and holding them accountable for the actions, they're going to continue to do those things, and they will continue to have success in their endeavors in pursuing their agendas. If we look at some of the prominent aspects of society, like the corporate world or the banking world or politics, you'll often see that those who are most deceptive and ruthless seem to be the ones who are coming out on top, who are accomplishing what they desire. And as a result of that, many other people in society are suffering, are having their wealth stolen, their resources stolen, having their environment harmed, things of that nature. Therefore, if people in society don't become conscious, don't become active in confronting those deceptions, in uncovering the secrets that are being kept, then things will continue the way they've been going along. This issue is not just present, though, in our greater society and our mass consciousness. It's very much present in each one of us in our individual lives. If we don't confront the shadow material within ourselves, within our own immediate surroundings, such as our family, our workplace, our friendships, then we're going to have some type of unpleasant circumstances arising as a result of that. Therefore, it's important to be honest with ourselves about whatever's going on in our lives, honest with ourselves about any habits or patterns that we would like to change within ourselves. So if you have unhealthy habits or addictions, if you've done things that are hurtful to other people that you haven't acknowledged or apologized for, that's a type of secret or shadow pattern that you may be holding on to. If we have some truths about ourselves that we're not speaking, if we're not being honest about what we're feeling, what we have on our mind, that could be a secret that is keeping us stuck, that's kind of building up that shadow material within us. If there are things from our past that we haven't faced or confronted, whether it's the way that our parents treated us as a child, whether it's things that we did in prior relationships, whatever it might be, there are things that we need to come to terms with within ourselves, rather than trying to keep secret or trying to deny. Denial, that's a defense mechanism in psychology, and denial is one mechanism of keeping things secret. We might deny things to ourselves, and we may also, of course, deny things to other people when they try to challenge or confront us about it. This discussion of secrecy and the shadow aspect of consciousness is one that could be rather complex. There are many layers or elements to it. And if we want to really be healthy and whole, it's important to recognize that we can't be separated from aspects or parts of ourself. Psychological wholeness, psychological integration involves looking at all aspects of ourself, not resisting or rejecting any part of ourself, not denying any part of ourself. And therefore, to be psychologically whole, we do need to face or encounter things that may be unpleasant, things that may have bothered us at some point, things we may have felt some guilt or shame about. To deal with those things, we may need to learn to find a way to create forgiveness. Forgiveness is a way of letting go, of being at peace and acceptance about whatever exists, whatever has been part of our path. Therefore, forgiving ourselves and others may be a key to dealing with some of those things that we've been hiding from, or things we've been keeping hidden from others. Looking at our society collectively, it would be very helpful for many of the things that have been kept secret to be brought to the awareness of the public, to all the people of the planet. By keeping so many things secret and hidden, there's this fragmentation of our mass consciousness. There's this dualism that's been developed in society where we have extreme polarities, where we have some people that have extreme amounts of wealth and power, and others who are extremely disempowered, extremely impoverished. We have people that are using super advanced technologies, and we have other people that live with basically no technology accessible to them, who are just barely surviving. There is also the issue of the pressure, the energy that needs to be applied in order to keep secrets, to keep things hidden. If you have secrets of any kind, there is that aspect of your consciousness. There's that part of you using that energy to maintain that secrecy. And that energy could be better used to do things that are more productive and creative. Therefore, when we choose to break free of that cycle of secrecy, we're actually making more power available for other things that are more productive. I would like to thank each of you for taking your time to explore this subject, to work on your own personal growth, your own spiritual development. I invite each of you to view more of my YouTube videos and to visit my website at www.phinsights.com. Namaste. I wish everyone a good day.